Hello, Jan Cosgrove here with the Bognor Regis Herald News. Firstly, we have a new mayor, and it's Steve Goodhart, Councillor Steve Goodhart. Steve, known as Mr. Rocks, the founder of the Rocks Festival, and an activist in so many other ways in the town, also an Arran District Councillor. So he's got his year cut out, especially if the lockdown is finally lifted and he gets all those invites to open things and be at various functions. So good luck, Steve, and well done. Also, another local councillor, Jim Brooks, takes on a leading role as the chairman of Arran District Council. Well done, Jim. I know that he will be balanced, that he will be on his toes, and also that he will be impartial. Indeed, he's told me that he does not intend to vote in debates unless there is a tied vote. Well, we look forward to that after the mess we had last year. And Jim will also be dealing with meetings being held virtually for the time being. So, a very interesting time. So, Arran District Council. Well, it enters a new phase. It did so on the 21st of March when its new constitution came into place. What's different? Well, quite a lot. Up to now, for many years, the decisions have been made by a group of individuals, the cabinet, who are selected from amongst councillors, usually from the leading group or its allies. So the Lib Dems were able to sort of supply most of the places, and one independent. Now, since the local elections, things have moved into an even more tightly configured situation. There are now 24 Conservatives, 16 Lib Dems, 6 Independents, 4 Arran Independents, they're different independents, 2 Green, 1 Labour, and 1 Independent, as he's called, formerly a Lib Dem. So it makes the council a very balanced place when you need 28 votes to really take anything through, unless you're on 27-27 and Jim then uses his casting vote. What's the big issue facing Arran? Well, it's money situation. It's like many other local authorities in Queer Street, very badly sort of configured for the next few years on its economics. Finances are simply not good. Then, of course, there is our old friend, Bognor Regis regeneration. What does this mean? Well, the Constitution, by the way, let's fit that out. Where does regeneration lay with the Constitution? Now, at the moment, Arran has now been setting up new committees, Economic Committee, Neighbourhood and Services Committee, and so forth and so forth. Most of them 11 strong. That would be 5 Conservatives, 3 Lib Dems, 1 independent group, 1 Arran independent group, and 1 per committee split between Labour, the Greens, and the Independent. Are we all on board? Are we? Great. So things could go very much to very close votes. The new leader, Councillor Sean Gunner, Conservative, has promised that he'll take a new leaf out on regeneration. I hope so, but I'm rather concerned already. Regeneration, by the way, does not belong to any committee. It's a matter for the full council. That's worth bearing in mind. The next full council is sort of mid-July. The Economic Committee, however, meets on the 8th, on Tuesday next, and the Neighbourhood Services Committee, Neighbourhood Services Committee, to be correct, has already met. The latter has already taken a decision about part of the Regis Centre site to tart up the with nice coloured squares and fountains and so forth, to tart up the Place St Maur, using 1.2 million pounds of local government money through the Coast to Capital Fund, and having to find a percentage itself, another 600,000. That's been taken. Decision's been taken. I've already said, how can you take a regeneration site and do that and piecemeal? Well, to be blunt, Arran has been at the piecemeal game, especially its officers, since 2015. when we had the last consultation. That is clear from the now defunct and abortive project called what's it called? The linear lawn, I call it, the linear park. That went down. Its real purpose was not to prettify that area. The sunken gardens would have more green space than was proposed for that. And there are papers at Arran showing quite clearly that the idea was that it would be that new gardens would be there to enhance the value of space on the Hothampton car park, so they could push the price up to developers for flats. Piecemeal redevelopment on that site. Likewise, the Pleasant Moor is a similar attempt, a piece of piecemeal sort of redevelopment. So what of the actual complete site? Well, what Arran is trying at the Economic Committee on Tuesday is to further divide it. There is a government fund called the Levelling Up Fund. It's aimed at about 150 local authorities across the country, many of them like Arran with coastal areas. And there's up to £20 million per council, but it's competitive. Not every council will get an award. The government's put some guidelines out. One of them, they should be finding about 2%. The other one is that, and this is important, that they would be looking at private investment. So Arran, at the Economic Committee on Tuesday, will be proposing that they go to the Levelling Up Fund to suggest that the government should pay to provide a new facade for the Regis Centre and Alexandra Theatre and other associated, again, tarting up jobs. Seems to me to be a very unwise sort of course of action, because it does nothing other than tidying up to attract more visitors. It simply will not. They will try and claim it will, but it's not going to. You've got to have new facilities there on a large scale and elsewhere in the town. Now, many of you would have heard there was a presentation episode where in the autumn Arran invited people with ideas, etc., on regeneration to put them in, and Arran would consider them. Well, eventually that went to a meeting in early February this year, and in March they decided to set up a working party to look at those proposals. That working party is not met. There was an argument behind the scenes, I gather, as to how it should be formed. It's not met. At the same time, they set up a working party on the Levelling Up Fund. That's met 3 times. Do we detect that the presentation organisation might feel a tad peed off, to be frank, that they've just been left in the lurch? One developer, one presentation organisation's chief person has told me they are out of the game. I'm not going to say who, it's not up to me, but that is a consequence, in the words of the person concerned, at Arran's prevarication and behaviour over the last few years. That organisation put into the 2015 consultation, and they've got nowhere, so they've walked. And someone's said he's putting quite a bit of personal money. My feeling, and I've made it clear to councillors and the chairman of that committee and to Sean Gunner, is that they should be working the presentations and this Levelling Up Fund together. And the Economic Committee is not the place to make a decision about the Regis Centre, including the Pleasant Moor. It's for the full council. And any attempt to do otherwise is simply playing into the hands of those, the officers and some councillors, particularly in the last administration, who favour a piecemeal regeneration for the town. Look, the average spend in Bognor for a person coming in as a visitor is £35 per head. Margate, with proper cultural regeneration, is now over £100 per head. This is the real money issue. And this is how a town like ours is going to be left behind if we don't actually do some real regeneration. There are ideas in those consultations and in those presentations which Aaron has ignored and continues to ignore. Now, what is Aaron going to propose? Well, it's going to propose, as I said, to put a new facade on and so forth. A couple of cafes, maybe. Look, we need proper facilities, and we do not need a sort of situation where flats built on Northampton do not cross-subsidise and help pay for what it should happen on the Regis Centre, or indeed vice versa. I can reveal I've had some recent conversations with probably the leading presentation organisation left. That's the Sir Richard Hotham or Project Sunrise. And Tom Elliott, their head honcho, if you like, I expect he wouldn't like to be called that, it's quite clear that they're still in the game and watching very closely, and that they know that they have an offer which not only can be delivered, but it can also be delivered in consultation with the Levelling Up Fund. Simple as that. They got planning permission when Aaron had rejected them from the planning inspector. She said it had design excellence, it had the money, it had the scope. So far, Aaron has not spoken to them properly. In 2018, just before that planning appeal, they decided they would not talk to anyone who got that appeal through. That's the situation. Yet these guys have tens of millions of pounds of funding. And here's one challenge I'll make to Councillor Hugh Coster, who has been going around for some years, and as I understand it, still saying it, that they don't have any money. Councillor Coster, you are wrong. You have failed to follow this up. You have to provide proof. Otherwise, quite frankly, you are deliberately misleading councillors. And if you want to sue me on that, do so. I'll be very happy to see you and get your answers in court, because frankly it is misleading to an extreme degree to tell other councillors, other people, that the Richard Hotham Project Sunrise has no access to money. It does. I know it. You should know it. Other councillors should know it. And this is an end to that game. Let's put it clear. They have money to come in. It's from a fund that is available. That money is from a fund that's being used elsewhere at this time. It brings a radical cultural regeneration project, and that cultural project could be sort of used as proof of private investment if you're after £20 million worth of government money on the Levelling Up Fund. You haven't got a chance of showing anything else like that, and if we want Bognor to succeed, you should at least be talking to them. That's not just Councillor Coster, who lost his cabinet position when those all were abolished recently, but to every councillor out there who may be watching this. I hope you do. So, it's a very interesting time. Bognor councillors should be in there saying, let's get the best for the town, talk to Project Sunrise. And by the way, when talking to Sunrise, I asked them about the Aaron Arts position on the Whitbread position. Whitbread's there till 2046, and Aaron Arts similarly to 2046 on an underlease. So far, Aaron has not been able to get any success with Whitbread in terms of whether Whitbread will move. And I noted last June that Carl Roberts, the director of Place at Aaron, even hinted or mooted in a report that they might have to look at compulsory purchase. I wish you luck. I wish you luck, Aaron, because you'll have a really stern opponent. And I believe, my information is that they want to come to an agreement, but not necessarily with you. They think they see themselves as part of a better scheme for the seafront. Now, finally, Aaron Arts. They have a theatre. It's in the Regis Centre. There's a dodgy roof. It's an ugly exterior. And I know that David Bennett, who's the husband of one of the trustees, is an architect and has ideas for extending the theatre. And Aaron even says that in its Levelling Up report. You have, however, Aaron Arts, a very good offer from Tom Elliott's Project Sunrise for space in the new Regis Centre site, and maybe looking at other places. My view is that a really good studio theatre would take care of many of your productions and activities. And that would be on the Regis Centre site. I've said so to Tom. And he's willing to look at that, including other concerns that they have. As for your major productions for Aaron Arts, there's a guarantee of full access at the new Blake Theatre, which is the name of the 1100-seater multi-purpose centre, which will do music, drama, it'll do sort of exhibitions, etc., conferences. Major new facility with a new audience and new visitor stream coming to Bognor. And the planning inspector, by the way, says that's adequate. So if you want to remain on that site at the Regis Centre as it is, remember, you may well be blocking the regeneration of Bognor Regis. I'll put it bluntly to them. I've been a supporter of Aaron Arts in many ways. I led its recovery from liquidation. And I believe in a good community theatre. But if you think you're immune to compulsory purchase, if you turn down something like the offer from Tom Elliott, then you're mistaken. And if Aaron doesn't go ahead with talking to people who've got the resources and the planning permission, then there are measures that have to be looked at beyond this council to make it accountable. You see, last autumn, an inquiry was ordered to be put to one of the scrutiny committees. It was agreed that it would go to the last meeting of the scrutiny committee in March just gone by. How had Aaron treated Sir Richard Hotham, Project Sunrise? It never appeared on the agenda. So Aaron thinks itself, in my view, unaccountable as usual. Well, I have news for Aaron officers. You won't find me being sort of inactive if I see real evidence that you're continuing the same old game of shutting people out and pushing for this redevelopment, piecemeal redevelopment. You have a plan there, you have a project that's willing to talk and be flexible, and you haven't done so. All the effort's been done and the expenditure has been done on their part. The challenge is to Aaron, under its new leader, Sean Gunner, to turn the tide and to give Bognor Regis a chance. Well, that's all for this bulletin and commentary. There'll be another one, but also read the latest edition of the Bognor Regis Herald, which is online, and it has news from all over, local news and other features as well. So thanks for watching, and this is Jan Cosgrove saying goodbye until the next time.